inspiration. Go. Um, and so my name is Ivana from URADA. We help coordinate this working group. And today we would like to remind you that we want this meeting to be more interactive and conversational. So if possible, please keep your cameras on because it will help us to, speak clearer, better when we know that we are speaking to a person. Please also be diligent about muting. If you don't intend on saying anything, please make sure that your microphones are muted. But also your voice is very important. So please, if you have any questions or if you want to contribute to the discussion, feel free to speak up and unmute yourselves. The chat is also open. So if you don't want to speak, but you have a question to ask, the chat is open for you to post whatever you want over there. And so just a brief rundown of our agenda for today. We will be hearing from representatives of the municipality of Evora in a bit. And afterwards, we will have a roundtable of introduction, as I have mentioned. We will have some guide questions for you to answer so that you can give us a better background of yourselves and the organizations you represent, organizations or cities that you represent. And then later on, we will have our main speaker, Ms. Lada Strelnikova. She just messaged that she is having some problems with her connection, and so she will be with us, but without the video, unfortunately. But we will be hearing her later on. And then later, we will have a discussion among all of us about everything that has been mentioned by Lada. And if you have any other thoughts that you would like to share about the topic, this will be moderated by Claire Harvey of EDP. And afterwards, we will have a few minutes to talk about what we would like to discuss during the next meeting's topic, which will be which will be sometime in October of this year. As you know, the working group is supposed to have 4 meetings, so we are now in the 3rd meeting. But to tell us more about the working group and its objectives, please help me welcome Paula Elena Santos from the municipality of Evora. So Evora is coordinating this working group. So Paula, the screen is yours.
Hello to all. My name is Paula. I work in the municipality of Evora for a long time. I'm mainly involved with cooperation activities with European network of cities and cross-border relations and other training projects. So I will just make a brief introduction about the city of Evora and the objectives that we envisage for this working group. So just to say a little bit about Evora. Who doesn't know the city? It's a medium-sized city located in the south of Portugal with 56,000 inhabitants. It's strategically located about 100 kilometers from Lisbon, from Spain, and from the Atlantic Ocean. The historic center of Evora was classified World Heritage by UNESCO in 1986. And our main economic activities are related to the tourism sector, public services like the university, hospitals, central administration services, but also some private enterprises are very big in Evora. It's from the areas of aeronautic and industrial components. So one thing I would also like to stress out for Evora, it's an important project that is currently taking place, is that the city is applying for the European Capital of Culture in 2027. This application represents not only the city, but the whole Alentejo region, which has a strong cultural identity, not just the city. This project is not only about cultural programming, it is also centered on the strategy of urban transformation. which includes a discussion with citizens and institutions about what kind of city or what kind of Evra we want for the future. Because right now, like many cities in Europe, we are facing challenges with the climate change. So taking account these goals defined by the European Green Deal and the new European Bauhaus, the positive project is and the discussion around the future of the cities, the sustainability of the cities, the greener cities, is how can historic cities can become more greener, more sustainable, more modern. It's all related to this positive project and other projects we want to address during this working group. So I think it would be very we consider very important the creation of this working group, because the objective is to create a community that gathers technical staff from cities, from experts, from research institutes, from universities, people working in the regional development agencies, and from the private sector. And we can all regularly meet and discuss, openly discuss ideas about our difficulties, our solutions, the development and implementation of technological innovative solutions, to make cities, our cities that are historic cities, which are these constraints about being historical city. How can we overcome that difficult? So I think the working group can provide a good base for discussion of ideas and exchange of experiences. So that's what we hope for this working group.
Thank you, Paula. So now that we know a bit more about why this working group has been established, we'd like to hear from you and why you are interested in the topics that this working group is covering. So we would like to have this round of introductions for all the participants. So again, if possible, please keep your cameras on so that we could see each other. We're not doing this meeting physically, and so it would really help if we have an idea of who we are speaking to. So I will go through the list alphabetically, I guess, as seen on my screen. So maybe I'll start with my colleague Arlene. If you could briefly say hi.
Sorry, just I'm in two computers and I have my audio in one and the video on the other one. Anyway, my name is Arlene Cairns, and I'm in charge of the communication activities here in Urada. And I'm just glad to be part of this meeting as well.
And Arlene is helping me with the technical functionalities of this meeting today. And so our next name is Ms. Cecile Hoopert from Eurocity. So please just introduce your name, the organization you represent, and if you have any initiatives ongoing related to smart heritage cities.
Hello, everyone. It's my first time in this working group, so happy to see you. My name is Cecile, indeed, and I'm working for Eurocities as a project coordinator in culture, in the topic of culture and cultural heritage. Eurocities is the network of major European cities, and we are based here in Brussels, and we work on all kinds of issues related to urban development, including culture and creativity and cultural heritage, for my part. At the moment, we are involved in one program financed by the European Commission called Cultural Heritage in Action, which is looking at cultural heritage from 3 different angles and trying to involve cities and regions into peer learning activities. But we've also been involved in a Horizon 2020 project called ROC, which ended last December. And this was about cultural heritage as a tool for urban regeneration. So I'm interested in the topic of heritage, obviously. That's why I'm here, and I'm curious to hear about what you did in the project and what this working group has in mind for cultural heritage at the European level. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Cecile. Next up, we have Miss Charlotte Michi from Icons.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charlotte Mieke from Fondazione Icons, and I'm leading communication dissemination activities Positive. So, of course, I will be covering this this event on our social media channels and on our website. And beside, I'm actually also leading the communication work package of another project, which is called Texture, and dealing with sustainable cultural heritage and sustainable cultural tourism, actually. So it's a new project, just started. And so I think we can find synergies also with the pilots of this project.
Exactly. So this is also why we have this working group to create synergies. We have Miss Claire Harvey from EDP.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Claire. We're from EDP, which is the Portuguese energy utility, but I'm from the R&D department, where we work with cities for pilot projects in the energy sector. So we are the project coordinators of Positive, where this the initiative for this working group came about. And we also coordinate other projects with cities and municipalities in the field of energy. So yeah, the motivation for joining the working group, I mean, we helped create it, and again, it's about knowledge sharing. So seeing sharing what we do in Positive and some of the technologies and challenges we face, and also to learn from other cities and other organizations in this field of smart cities in the heritage realm.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Next up, we have Mr. Danielle Santana.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel. I work at the City Council of Tavira in Portugal. I have a background in art history, and I am linked to the City Museum and to the management of the historical and cultural heritage under the responsibility of the City Council. And Tavira is a small city located in the south of Portugal, in Algarve. It is known by the beauty of its historic center and its cultural heritage. I would like to highlight the religious architecture as well as the Mediterranean diet. Tavira is the city that represents Portugal in the inscription of the Mediterranean diet on the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage List. And it's my first meeting here. It's a pleasure to be part of this working group. And I'm here to listen and learn, and if possible, contribute to the work in progress. And I wish you all a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it is a pleasure to have you here. Next up, Esteban Pelayo from URAD.
Hello, good afternoon. I am the director of URADA, and we have several initiatives connected with this working group related to citizen participation, energy sustainability, and as well finance, which is very important for us, the topic of the three previous meetings. In particular, we are going to organize the general event of the autumn organized by URADA. We call that Agorada, related to sustainable finance. So the finance that is provided to projects that are not pay so well back because they are connected with the environment or social innovation. And I think the topics discussed in this working group are very aligned with that and shows the interest of URADA in these things. As well, the main motivation to be here is to show opportunities and to lead to developing agencies. We have members in 23 countries, and we would like to, or developing agencies would like to benefit from the knowledge, the cooperation that is discussed here.
Perfect. Thank you, Esteban. So I just read in the chat that Mr. Sergio Olivero will be leaving in a bit. So maybe if you could introduce yourself now before you...
Yes, I am the president of the scientific committee of the renewable energy community of Magliano Alpi. That is the first one established in Italy as a result of the early adoption of RED II directive by the European Commission. I am also head of business and finance innovation research at the Energy Center of the Politecnico di Torino, it is a university. We have now in place several initiatives related to the creation of operational renewable energy communities. The first one in Magliano, but other 20 are going to be created by this year. And the motivation is clearly to share views, also because some cities where we are implementing these renewable energy communities are historical centers where an innovative energy-related approach can be the catalyst of business models that can be attractive for both investors and the citizen willing to live there. So for me, it is important to understand what's happening in Europe in similar contexts.
Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to converse with you more during the Q&A and discussion later today. Next up, we have João Bravo Diaz.
Hello, I'm João. I also work in EDP as Claire Harvey. And as she explained it, we work with cities to create pilots and see how we can help them become more sustainable, for example. That's why I'm here. I am here to learn with all of you, with the different cities and the different perspectives, and to know more about cultural heritage and how we can solve some of the problems that we face in the near future.
Perfect. Thank you. Next up, we have Jose Lopez from the Orem City Hall. Maybe we can come back to him in a bit. We have next up Mr. Martin de Vries.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Martijn de Vries of New Energy Coalition. Well, as I said, I work for New Energy Coalition, which is an organization which plays a role in the energy transition world with a strong focus on research, innovation, development, and education. But I'm here as a representative of the lighthouse city Alkmaar. Well, I would call it a twin city of Evora in the positive project. I have to say that in this respect, I act more or less as a representative of the municipality of Alkmaar. Unfortunately, Mrs. Susanne Nieuwenhuis, who is the representative of the municipality itself, she couldn't make it today, so she asked if I could step in on her behalf, and so I do. Well, it goes without saying that since the municipality of Alkmaar is one of the lighthouse cities in the positive project, we have as Alkmaar a very high interest in everything that has to do with making cultural heritage cities more sustainable. And Alkmaar is a very old, well, not an old city, let's put it that way, which holds quite a large number of both provincial monuments and national monuments and municipal monuments. So there's a lot to preserve and a lot to do in terms of making these buildings more sustainable.
Thank you, Martin. And for everyone who is their first time joining the meeting, Martin also was present during the first meeting of the working group, and he presented the city of Alkmaar to everyone. So Mr. Jose Lopez from Orem City Hall says that unfortunately he doesn't have a microphone, but it is still a pleasure to have you here. And if you, again, for everyone who can't access their microphone or can't turn on their camera, you are free to send any questions or any contribution to the discussion through the chat box. Next up, we have Mr. Nuno Bilo, also from Evora Municipal City. Sorry.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nuno Bilo. I work at in Evora City Council, and I am sharing the positive side managing in Evora alongside with João Formiga from NDP. I hope that within this working group meetings that we are having, and that we can create a group of partners from cities and specialists that can discuss our difficulties and share the experiences and help our cities to find solutions and to the problems that we are facing regarding the energy sustainability and cultural heritage.
Thank you, Nuno. Next up, we have Rui Barroso.
Hello, good afternoon, you all. My name is Rui Barroso from DEX, is a partner within Positive, and we are responsible for transition track 4 related to the engagement of citizens, and we also have several responsibilities regarding energy efficiency in PEP 3, the industrial park, where we have a building, the data center building, that supports also several other activities in the project, like data lake and the integration of solutions for citizen engagement.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And again, for everyone's information, Rui was also our speaker during the second meeting of this working group when he discussed a bit more about also about financing topics, and also he introduced digital solutions in the city in a city in Portugal. I am missing the name right now, but yes. Next up, we have Mr. Tomislav Keglevich. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. There you go. We cannot hear you, unfortunately. We can see you, but we can't hear you.
I don't know, why don't you?
Oh, there we go. We can hear you now.
Okay. Excuse my late coming. The shifting of the schedule was in conflict with my previous engagements, so I couldn't come from the beginning. Let me just put this on. I represent the Zagore Development Agency from Krapina-Zagore County, from Croatia. We have recently put together an info booklet on smart village and smart city development. And we see this as an opportunity to use existing or previous national calls for funding to implement smart village and smart city development through existing infrastructure for funding. And as far as we are aware, we can expect some dedicated calls targeting smart village and smart city projects in the near future. So exchange useful information. What can we do that is not financially burdening too much, but also useful for generating smart city and smart village development outputs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Tudor Drambarean from Alba Iulia.
Yes, hello. I hope you can hear me and see me as well. My name is Tudor. I'm working at Alba Iulia Municipality. It's very good to be with you today, and hopefully we'll have some very interesting discussions and with some good ideas bursting out of this working group related to heritage and sustainability in our cities. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I believe the last person that we are yet to hear from is our speaker, actually, who has her number here, who dialed in the call. But if I am missing anybody else, I think not. Then in that case, thank you again for joining us today. We can begin formally the meeting, I guess. So I would like to introduce the main speaker of this meeting, Lada Strelnikova. She is in charge of managing the investment management mandate for the European Energy Efficiency Fund within DWS. And she will be expounding on the topic of public-private partnerships. So Lada, are you in the call with us? I think you are muted if you are trying to speak. I think Lada may still be having problems connecting, but I see that we have a new participant. So maybe while Lada is trying to reconnect, we could hear from the representative of PACT, P-A-C-T. You just joined the meeting. Could you maybe introduce yourself, sir, from PACT?
Hi, hello.
Hello.
My name is Hugo Valadas. I'm the business developer at PACT, the Parque Alentejo Science and Technology in Évora, Portugal.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Lada is trying to call in again. So let's give her a few minutes.
Ivana?
Hello, yes, Lada.
Hi, I'm sorry, really. I don't know what's happening. I mean, we tried it 2 weeks ago and I used it actually on Friday. I really apologize that I could not see you all. Some of them I don't know, some of them I know, and some of them I not. So apologies in that sense. Ivana, could you then share the screen for the presentation then, please?
Yes, we are sharing your screen. So if you want us to move to the next slide, just let us know.
Okay, let me start so there, so we don't want to lose any time. So the idea is actually also to get some understanding how that kind of projects could be done in practice, actually. And what I wanted to say, I want to start with two aspects. The aspect of so-called technical assistance. Some of you guys will be knowing what it is, and the technical assistance is there as a additional subsidy money, which has European Commission different Horizon 20 programs, but as well as some financing instruments like AAAF. And the technical assistance facility is actually exactly there for this, for the public authorities to move their projects, and to do the feasibility studies, to move with their projects and prepare the investment program. So in case of Alentejo region and under them is the Evora, they have been receiving, the project started with the technical assistance. The second element of the investment program, which is more complex in that sense, in the preparation of the financing, signing all the agreement, is connected directly to the feasibility study. So if you look at the page 2, you see how the project has been managed and developed. And then during this phase, you have from different moment where you start the public authority reviewing and saying, okay, what exactly I want to do, whether I want to renovate the buildings, whether I want to start with street lighting, whether I would prefer to do a district heating network project. So they need to frame it first. So the framing of the project, I think it's the most important issue, because it's not only about getting the project itself and defining what I'm going to do, but at the same time getting all the political support within the municipalities. Because the project could not be driven, this is mainly driven politically. And if there is a disagreement between the parties, between the rural within the communities, then it is difficult, very difficult to progress with the project. The experiences that we had, the communities which are more aligned politically and have more alignment with internal forces, are progressing much faster. In case of Alentejo project, we had 14 municipalities. So one of them was the Evora, the city of Evora, but the rest was all like smaller cities spread all around Alentejo. So the interregional authority of CIMAC, they have been playing a huge role in getting the communities aligned and also the political support for the project, which is actually not very difficult from the technical perspective. It is replacing the street lighting, or making smaller installations. They have not been digging into the ground. They have not been replacing the cables or large works that are usually to be done if you're considering district heating network, for example. So the technical assistance itself is actually a very helpful instrument for all the communities that want to start with this kind of project. What it assumes that it needs to get not only the consultant in place, which could be selected by the communities, by municipalities themselves, or they say, okay, we do it like FFF is doing. We are procuring ourselves consultants and assigning them to the municipalities. The financing of the technical assistance is actually quite straightforward, because you rather receive the full funding or you receive the funding per step by step. So like you do, as it have a project plan, and the project will be proposed in milestones, and then accordingly it might be that the payment will be done, or the consultants will be also, as in our cases, we assign the consultants will be paid by different project milestones. In case of CIMAC in Alentejo region, it took us longer than 2 years to finish the study. I mean, Rui Barroso could tell you the stories, how it was all started and how it did go. I think the main aspect, Rui, correct me if I'm wrong, was actually that at the end we get all this done and the project was procured. So I think at the end the result was important. Even the path was quite long, and I would say not without certain barriers that we have been then experiencing in the project implementation. If you could move to the page 3, please, Ivana.
Yes, we are.
Then you see the beautiful picture of Evora.
Exactly, yes.
On the right corner. What I wanted to show you the project structure. So the projects are the financing of the project itself. Because after the feasibility study is done and the project is procured, it means it needs to publish the tender. The public authority needs to select the company who will be doing the implementation work. The implementation works are usually, again, also done within a certain period of time, So we were quite happy with ESET that they have done an incredible job, I will say, in comparison to what we have seen in other parts of Europe, working also under the certain COVID conditions last year and doing finalizing all the installations in time and in the manner where we, as a financier, since I'll be telling you that the financing has been also then done milestone per milestone. So we have been showing the installations since there were 56,000 lighting points. They have been, these lighting points need to be adjusted not to the heritage of Evora. So you couldn't take like a simple lighting bulb, which you put whatever on some industrial complex and put it on in the historical city. So this is one of the aspects which makes the project more complicated, because in the technical selection of the product, you need to take the consideration how these lamps, for example, will look like. And it applies, of course, the same will apply to the renovation of the building. So if Evora starts renovating the building, like schools, that the first what is inside the building, that's probably not a big issue, but how the facades are looking, whether the facade should have like solar panel installations or not. This is, of course, that could deal to another level of discussions between the municipalities or between the city council itself. So the 56,000 lighting points, it's a huge project. So it's not only because they are all around the region itself, and I mean, okay, Evora is in a World Heritage city, but we do have some other cities which are around the Island area region, which are also have a historical value. Okay, even if it's not UNESCO. So if you look at the project structure after the company was selected, for us was very important to put all the agreements in place. So because between the ESET and the CIMAC, there is a street lighting management contract, which is actually outlines all the aspects of the relationship in relation to installation, relation to operation and maintenance afterwards, and of course to the savings, to the CO2 savings that are to be generated. Because the whole exercise, and this is very important, that the CIMAC is not spending its own funding. So the whole project is financed from the energy savings. And this is very important. So if you look at start looking at the public buildings, even in different areas, and in public buildings, sometimes we have difficulties to generate so much savings that the savings could cover the investment. So that they rather will need a subsidy or the investments, especially if you look now the renovation wave. And I think that will be the major problem of the next 5 to 10 years, how the European Union wants to implement the renovation rate. And if we talk about the deep renovation, then paying it only from the savings, it will be quite difficult. This project has been financed from the savings, so it means that CIMAC has not invested not a euro into the project, apart of the resources and of the efforts that Andrej Spenica and his team has put into this project. There have not been any kind of flow of financing from CIMAC. So, and plus, and on top of this, the whole region is not getting the new infrastructure, which is as outlined under this contract, but they also have the savings which are spread over 12-year concession period and result in 7 million. On the second area, it shows the relationship between the company, which is doing installation, which has been a consortium formed by ESET and Foment Efficiency, two relatively well-established Portuguese ESCO companies, in which we say that we buy the receivables. So it means the payments that go from CIMA go directly to the fund. And the fund is doing according the certain distributions after the payment has arrived to the E4 and to pay, of course, the investment that has been financed. So it is like a scheme in that sense. You could imagine it this way: you have a project and you have a community in CIMAC, which is not investing it, as I said, in financial resources, and then you have on the other hand in the company, which is and then not putting, so they don't need to take, again, they are not taking any financial financing or additional loan in order to finance it. So it is a quite fine from the PPP structure where everybody's profiting because the company says, okay, I don't want to also to take any loan on my own in order to do the financing of this because otherwise I cannot do a lot of such projects. And on the other side, the public authority, which is also not supposed to take any debt or additional debt under the certain conditions, is of course difficult. And the fund, which is in between trying to fix the needs of the both of the parties. You can interrupt me if there are some questions in between, so I don't need to speak to the end if somebody wants to say something. No, okay, then I will continue. We have, so the other thing is quite good about this, if I stay on the page 3, is that this kind of project could be replicated quite well. So what we have done in Portugal, we have done with the same company with the same background. We have financed the same project, the same scheme, also in the street lighting in Vila do Conde. So it shows that this project actually they could be easily done, and it's in terms of upgrading the cities or the street lighting is actually the most easiest way, first to generate the savings and second actually put the cities into another light for their visitors. I mean, you don't have this melange of lights that when you come to Rome and you really look at this, how the city and how historical sites are illuminated, and you'll be probably shocked if you just pay more attention to this. And having a homogeneous picture of the city, I think it also makes another impression, also not only to the visitors but also to the citizens that are living there. So it has, I would say, the street lighting, if you perception of the building, of course, the school buildings, for example, renovation school is another topic, which is for the perception of the citizens is quite important. But in the city, illuminated city, nicely illuminated city, makes another impression also, gives another quality of life to the citizen. Ivan, if I could ask you to move to the 4th page.
Yep.
Where I just shortly show you the investment process, so how it works actually, because for us, from the financing point of view, I mean, we do have there are a lot of steps going forward. So from from the process when the concession has been admitted until we have signing the agreement. But also the whole process of operation is more or less under review of the FFF. So we want to see that the operation maintenance when the project is installed and all installation work that the project is also operating, so that their operation services are completed, that there are no delays. Of course, and that's very important. That's why we're not experiencing delays in payments. Because if the municipality is delaying due to whatever reasons, then it makes, of course, the difficult also to operate. Because I mean, the savings are coming. The savings are coming every day. They are measurable, and they will be measured also by the municipalities, not only by the fund. But then the payments need to be in time in order, so that the company could also be paid, because it's the only way or to remunerate the company, the cash flows that we have from the project. So and this is one of the important also aspects, because the cash flow after the project is so should be then delivered in order that the company could keep operating and the fund gets, of course, payments for the investment that has been done. And for us, we do keep a quite also collaboration with the public authorities in order to keep the circle also going, because for us, working with the historical cities or renovating historical buildings is an important showcase to show, okay, that could work. We could demonstrate that it works. So if the same like it's with an Evora, why it could not work in Villa do Conde or any other city that we're looking now at. So the whole element, but to be in place. So it's from the technical assistance, from the feasibility study. If the city requires something to say, okay, we actually have enough information, but we don't need to have the technical assistance to have the subsidy. We could immediately start the concession or the tendering for the procurement party. But the elements, of course, they come all together, from the technical assistance to the planning of the project, procurement of the party, and then financing of the agreement, and then the whole operation period in case of CIMAC, where we talk about 12 years, which is not a short one, but not a very long one. I think, Ivan, I will stop here. I think I have been also talking probably longer than you have expected. And if I could ask Rui perhaps to comment a little bit on his experience, how this project has been done, and especially on this initial phase, and what difficulties, what things we just then need to consider as being in the part of the public entity.
Sorry, may I interrupt for a while? This is Martijn de Vries, yes, from Alkmaar. Thanks, Lara, for this presentation. It's really interesting. The thing that crosses my mind, I will switch on my camera. Hold on, yeah. The thing that crosses my mind is that I'm immediately trying to transfer the information that you provided to a situation in Alkmaar. What does that mean? I mean, for instance, there's a big church in Alkmaar, for instance. That just let's take the hypothetical situation that we want to put solar panels on that church. It's a medieval church. Let's assume that we have the ambition to do that. What can you do in that respect from your knowledge and your organization, as opposed to a situation where Alkmaar, the municipality of Alkmaar, will take the lead on its own? So without you, what's the advantage? What's the benefit for the municipality then?
I mean, if you don't need, if the municipality doesn't need funding for the technical assistance to do the feasibility study, and doesn't need then to walk through this scheme that the CIMAC has chosen or Vila do Conde has chosen in Portugal to work with, then there's no value. I mean, we could not, as a financier, we could not influence the decisions of the municipality. If municipality says, okay, the solar panels come on the church, you couldn't say anything. So even if it's from the heritage principle, I don't know whether it looks good. I don't know. It's not our. It's not in that sense. It's not our business. Let's say, but for example, if you say, okay, we want to look on the feasibility study, and we want to spend some time on putting not only the solar panels, we want to have a feasibility study whether the full program is in place. Like we want to have perhaps an energy community where we have a district heating network, where we have to integrate a lot of elements into this program, where it could be financed partly with a PPP scheme or partly also with the subsidies. So it's not. It is actually the collaboration. I mean, from the political perspective, I mean, we could only support the communities that they have a political, I will say, alliance, or they are aligned in what they want to do. If there's a lot of disruption, a lot of disagreements between political parties, then of course it's very difficult for us to intervene here. So for us, we need to have the political unanimity in the municipalities or in the regional authorities in order to go. But if you say, okay, we do have everything, we don't need any kind of support, that's in whether that's feasibility study or financing, then of course you could go on your own, definitely. I don't know whether that answers your question, but I hope so.
Yeah. To a large extent, yes. Still, I do have some questions, but unfortunately, I have to leave. I could only make it until 15:30. So thanks again. I would like to have a separate discussion with you on this, because I do think it is interesting for the municipality of Alkmaar. So
you're welcome to join me. Yeah.
Very good. Thanks.
Directly.
Unfortunately, I have to leave, and well, I wish you good luck with the rest of this meeting. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Martin.
Bye.
Okay, Lada, just to comment on your remarks. I believe this was a long process in Alentejo Central, because we had to put on a strong political commitment, but also technical alignment between several municipalities. I believe this was a unique project because it didn't have one decision point, but 14 or 15 decision contact points. So in terms of political engagement, it was very important to describe to the council, to the intermunicipal council with 14 mayors, that this was a long-term strategy that was a win-win situation, supported on the efficiency and the savings that we had within the project, the possibility to do the feasibility study and to have a plan for the future in terms of public lighting and several other areas of energy efficiency. So it was very important to do this engagement, as I said, both politically as technically, with the municipal teams. Just to stress out something that I showed in the previous session, these are some of the numbers within the project. So energy consumption baseline 25 gigawatts per year, energy consumption reduction 18.3, 72.6% reduction in the consumption in the public lighting. So 2.4 million savings, 6.6 tons CO2 emissions reduction, and the payback of 7.84 years in terms of the payback, the return on the investment. So the model was the ESCO model, as you said. So no investment from the municipalities. So regarding the what were the difficulties that we had was that the process was very long. Okay, this is one of the difficulties to see the result. Of course, the changes within the municipal teams and mayors, some of them change in terms of technical teams, and so there was some difficulties on that process, being a long-term process. Also, of course, the fact that there is a concession to EDP in terms of breaking the cycle between the entity, the company responsible for managing the grid to another company that was taking on just the last part of the pole in the public lighting. That was something that also happened, even though EDP was part of all of the discussions within the construction of the project. It was a very fair discussion with EDP regarding the opportunities that were being created for them or for other ESCO company that would be on this process. And I believe this is a long-term work, with being such a huge project in terms of the transformation in 14 municipalities, more than 50,000 light poles or light points to be changed. The operational implementation was very difficult, but it was very straightforward nevertheless. Also, one of the things I didn't mention, that one of the gains of doing a project like this, it's also to improve the light to people. So all the streets were mapped, all the streets were aligned, because some of them were not aligned with the legislation in terms of light, the quality of the light for each of the streets, depending on the type of street. As you probably, some of you know, you have different light requirements. So this was all mapped and was all designed according to this rules to give better light to people. Okay, so people nowadays have better light in their streets, even though some of them complain that the light in their houses, their yards, it's less than it was, because the light is more efficient also. So I believe it was a win-win situation, both environmentally, financially, and also in the quality of the light that was delivered to people.
Yeah, that's true. There are three aspects that come together. So it has been beneficial for the citizens, and beneficial for the city, for the environmental, but also for the companies and for the municipalities, since they have not been exposed to any additional debt raising programs, or we have not been affecting any rules within the 14 municipalities in order to raise more capital to do this project.
Yeah.
And
one of the things that I believe it's also very important is, as opposite to, for instance, for what people think about your ERDF funding, this process is a very straightforward process with the energy fund. Well, you don't have the administrative or controlling burden that you have on if you do a submission to ERDF funding to do this. So it's much more straightforward in terms of the administrative burden that you have to do. Not that it isn't difficult, because Lada is a very demanding manager, so she's very demanding in the meeting. So, but the administrative burden is much less than the ERDF funding.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rui and Lada. To keep the conversations going, I'd like to invite Claire Harvey to moderate and to introduce topics of discussion related to what we have just spoken about.
Sure. I was going to, reiterate some questions that were in the chat, but we don't have any questions on the presentation so far. But for all the members, feel free to, bring up any conversation point or question that you have. related to Lada's presentation. We have plenty of time to discuss the different topics. But if no one has a question right now, I can pose a couple that popped up during the Lada's presentation. The first one would be to do with this public lighting project, the one in Alentejo that we've been discussing. You said that it has great replicability, this type of project, and I'd ask Lada if you have some examples from other cities in Europe that do similar projects, if it's replicable across Europe. I guess in this meeting we have, as I see, 6 cities, and 3 of them are in Portugal, and then we also have Zagreb in Croatia, Alba in Romania, as well as Alkmaar, so quite a spread of cities. So if the EEF fund is also active across different geographies in Europe.
Surely, we do have, in the current technical assistance program, we have 3 project entities in, no, it's 4 project entities in Lithuania. We have in Spain, city of Gijón. We are finalizing the project in Modena. And we think we will have another technical assistance applications. Now we have one from Latvia and the other one coming from Spain again. So it is quite well, and they are not all of them, of course, are heritage cities now. So in Lithuania, we rather deal with the buildings from 60s, 70s, which had to be renovated, mainly hospitals and schools. In Modena, this is a cultural building, cultural heritage building which belongs to the Ministry of Defense in Italy. But I think in Gijón there will be lighting, because it's a street lighting program as well, also quite comprehensive, comparable to what we're doing in CIMAC or have been doing in CIMAC. But there's not, of course, it's not in Gijón as a city, it's not as compact as Évora, where you could say, okay, there are some buildings, there are some streets. It's similar to the city of Santander, which we have done in 2016. So there are different projects in different aspects, and municipalities are coming to us, from different parts of European Union.
And this Alentejo project, you said, was 14 municipalities coming together to build this project. But is there also smaller scale projects within the fund, like a single municipality, for example, or they're usually on a larger scale to get this support from the?
No, they are, of course, they are single municipalities. So in Lithuania, there are 4 different single municipalities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And one question I was going to ask is, do you see much disparity across the different countries in Europe for the kind of interventions needed? Portugal compared to a country in, say, Netherlands or Eastern Europe, the differences between the geographies?
I mean, you always need intervention. Doesn't make a big difference whether the city is in Portugal or in Spain or in Lithuania, because they have different. I mean, starting from their political powers, they're all different, surely, and then they are always disagreeing and agree or not agreeing. So this is where quite often is the case. The project is delayed, or some decisions are delayed. So I will not say that it's more like south or north divide, or there is a big difference in the cultural or in psychological or in whatever. I think it is more again on the political willingness and political drive to do different things and to do different projects. I mean, it is also depends on what is the priorities, what are seen more important for the city development, for example, like renovating schools or hospitals or putting the new street lighting in place. So it is, I think the focus of municipalities is always different. So you could not say that that one or the other going in the same direction. For example, whether that's renovation of the building, especially in the renovation of building, you see there's a lot of movements, but then it depends, of course, which buildings and the municipality picks or the city. So whether there's public buildings, whether there's schools, or just a normal municipal buildings, or for example, a hospital, if you've done in the smaller cities like 40,000, 30,000 people, then the first renovation project which will be done is hospitals, for example. And after the COVID, then it has come, I think it's more priority. Whether it will stay, we could go and we should wait and see.
Okay. Maybe you mentioned you need the political will and to in order for these projects to be successful. So going back to the Alentejo case, it was 14 municipalities, and maybe Rui, but also you can give us some insight into the important roles to get those 14 municipalities all on board. Was there some other roles apart from the municipalities that were key in pushing forward the project? Maybe as an advice to other cities that might want to apply for the same type of funding. If you have some thoughts on how to get.
I will forward again this question to Rui, because I think he was the one who could comment it much better than myself. And
exactly.
I mean, because he was actually in the middle of the game. I mean, we were like more involved in the financing than stories and trying to push whatever that the timelines are there, but we were not.
I would say this is a question for Rui or for
if Rui wants to take it.
Or I don't know if the Evora municipality was the representatives we have were involved in this project as well. What was your point of view from using this funding?
Yes, I was also involved in this project.
Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
So was I. What was the question? I'm sorry.
We were talking about how the political will is something that's important in these types of projects, and talking about the success story of the Alentejo public lighting. You had 14 different municipalities, and I was wondering what important roles there were to be able to have these 14 municipalities work together for a common goal. Like any advice to other cities that might want to apply, or how that actually worked to get.
Yeah, the political engagement is totally one of the most important factors. Mainly working on the trust that the politicals need to have on the leading technical team. So it is very important to be very transparent to politicians and to state the goals and the results that will be both technically, financially, and political gains within the project. The trust, as I said, is very important within this project. You need to have a completely and fully aligned team that politicians fully trust in terms of the implementation of the project. So this was I believe, in terms of political terms, the most important for the politicians to trust. As I said before, there was a change in the political status in the middle of the project. And I remember that in the beginning, at least one time, once per month, I was there presenting the project and the evolution of the project and the numbers and the discussions within the project and the impact of the project. Okay, of course, when the final phase was reached, it was a little bit more difficult, and Simak and Julie Mateus then and Andrés Mika, it was a very big discussion regarding all the details within this kind of project, the financial terms, the debt, the investments, its application in the municipal accountability program. So it was very detailed. So this is a very long effort to implement a project like this. And within the middle, you need, as I said, have the confidence of the mayors and of the teams that are involved in the project. Okay.
And in terms of the other teams that were involved, apart from the municipalities, I guess you had the technical departments of the municipalities, then also ESCOs.
Well, yeah, the departments within the municipality, mainly the technical department, but also in the end, the financial departments, because this is a very complex project in terms of the implementation within the municipal accountability programs, because you need this is a contract between municipalities and EDP, and then you break it into several pieces. In this case, it was 14 municipalities and one intermunicipal community involved as the broker of the process. So it was more difficult and more complex because of this. So this, I believe, was not the biggest project in terms of public lighting here in Europe, far from it. But in terms of having 14 decision bodies, it was actually, I believe, the biggest one, because it's more difficult to do it than to do it in one city. But if it was possible to do it in 14 municipalities, I believe it's much more easy to do it in one municipality, bigger or not in terms of public lighting facilities as this one.
Claire, if I may, two people have raised their hands. Mr. Sergio Olivero, maybe you would like to add something to that?
Yes, thank you. Well, when it comes to decision processes in Italy today, there's probably a major difference with the rest of other European countries, in the sense that today there's plenty of money, both on the private and on the public side. To give you an example, all municipalities below 5,000 inhabitants have 100,000 euros per year to this year, and also in 22, 23, 24. And according to the rising in the size of the municipality, the money grows. For example, if you have a city up to 10,000 inhabitants, it is 140,000 up to nearly 500,000 per year. So this is money that can be used as a catalyst for innovation and new processes. On the other hand, private, well, that is citizens, especially for residential building renovation, they have access to plenty of bonuses, up to 110%. That is, in some cases, you pay 100, you get back 110. So money for building, retrofitting, making building smart is available. And also other funding from the European Resilience Program are expected. So practically speaking, what is needed in Italy today is, well, clearly our business models capable of managing in a clustered way the opportunities that rise on the territory. So, for example, European money can be useful, but is not fully really necessary. Private and also a renewable energy community like the one that was created in Bardiano Alpi, according to the Italian law, are a private law entity. That is, they can be participated by citizens, companies, and municipalities, but they are of private nature. That is a completely innovative public-private partnership approach can be generated by a full exploitation of the potential made available by the Renewable Energy Community Law. I think that this should be emphasized, and that is a benchmark between what's happening outside Italy and in Italy. For example, there's an international network that is known Alpine Purse. There are 20 municipality oriented to tourism, especially winter tourism and mountain tourism. They decided to work together in order to start from Italy, since in Italy it's possible to pay technology just using the bonds that are made available by the government, and to perform research in terms of business model. This should be really important when we come to discussion on how to start the interest of major municipalities, because today in Italy money is available automatically. So the real need is clustering capacity and governance capacity. That money is not the problem.
Yeah, interesting. Other take on it. And Esteban,
I
we
mean,
also have
I still will say that the managing also in Italy, I mean, the system of the distribution of the support among the European Union is actually the same. There's not a big difference, I would say, between Italy and Spain. I mean, for the smaller municipalities of below, as you say, below 5,000 inhabitants, yes, it's possibly that it's in Italy more support than in Spain, but I will doubt this, because otherwise, in that sense, if that's European funding money, why should then Italy become more than Spain or Portugal? I mean, it's the same discussion that we have now with the Corona funds. I mean, but at the same time, 5,000 municipality is a small municipality, so it's even for us to do that kind of PPP project, it's not worth it.
Sorry, 5,000 is where money is available for municipalities of any size. The smallest are the one with less than 5,000 inhabitants, but the bigger the city, the bigger the money.
Surely, I mean, if the funds are available for everybody and the municipalities know how to structure account to channel these funds into the project, then it's great. I mean, our also function is to help municipalities to get the project on site to get this done. So having the funds, I mean, I think I'm talking since 5 years with the city of Sofia in Bulgaria, and they have around 400 million from the European Community funding. This funding has not been used extensively. As for example, the same amount of funds has been used in northern eastern part of Romania in the last 5 years. So it depends on how fast you deploy and how fast you could channel this into the project. Nobody says that it should be the PPP structure that we have implemented in CIMAC. Not every municipality says, I want to go. I mean, in Germany, for example, we still have a lot of opposition towards the PPP project. And in Spain and Portugal, even in Italy, we think it is a bit different. So I mean, I think it depends also on the project and how the funding will be then allocated and what form is this then grants or the funds need to be paid back at some certain point of time. I mean, that's the idea of this project as we presented it now is actually that you're not using any funds. So the only thing is this project is giving you savings, and that's it. And this is the beauty of it. So if we start looking at the renovation of buildings, as I said at the beginning, then it will be more difficult. It's more complicated, and then you definitely need subsidies and support from the European Community pots.
I have a short question, if I may, to Lada. It's about the future. because when this initiative was created, this type of sustainability were so important, but not as much as today. And in particular with the recovery fund, the COVID funds that you mentioned recently, I think the part of not grants, the part of loans and things like that fit very well with that. I wonder if you have received or you are in the plans of any member state or any other organization of the European Union with this new programming period 21-27 with more allocation of funds. It's just a question about the future.
I mean, we have started discussion, for example, with the European Commission to access, for example, funding for the renovation wave that we could also allocate to the projects that require subsidies or any type of grants for the renovation of their buildings and the deep renovation program. But I mean, generally we are not involved because we are supposed to have a funding from 100 million from the European community, and then the objectives of the fund are also to raise private funds. Now, so we are not very much into this raising additional funding for the funds from the different pots. So it's more this rests more with the European, with the communities themselves, the municipalities, than with us, if I understood you correctly.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lada. Perfect.
Maybe from we can hear from Nuno from Câmara Municipal de Évора's side of their experience of this this fund, since we've not heard from Évora yet in this meeting.
Yes, this was a very complex program, and we had a lot of discussions, technical discussions with our colleagues from the other cities, because we were not alone. This project, this program was developed from with the CIMAC, the Central Alentejo community of the councils of the Central Alentejo, Portugal, and this was something that we had great expectations, because this type of implementing this type of solutions and in a scale like this. It was a good project regarding the savings that we expect to have, and the new technology LED in the street lighting. But we also had a lot of concerns regarding the savings and also the relation that we have with also the SEO from EDP, and here we had to change all the way that we used to work, and to start a new model that mainly involves the CIMAC and the enterprise that installed these technologies in Évora. Yes.
So EDP Distribuição were involved in the beginning, and then it changed to another entity. And about the particularities of a heritage city such as the city centre of Évora?
Yes, regarding the city centre of Évora, we have a particular and a special type of luminaires that are only installed here in Évora with the name of Évora. Special, they are special. Yeah, this was the main particularity regarding this this work that we carried in Évora. But other than that, was the same to the other cities involved. Yeah.
And in Évora, as we know, we have different projects with different means of funding. We have Positive, which is in the innovation space. But do you see, have any ideas of using the program that Lada spoke about for other initiatives around Évora, or?
Yes, we also had this program with 3 EFs, and with Lada we also had and we also studied the municipal buildings, and we started to see if we could do some retrofits regarding the efficiency of the buildings also. But it's in that type of investment, it is more difficult to have the return, and then we left that apart and only faced the public lighting.
No, that's true. That's true. That's why we need. I mean, we've seen some other projects that we are looking at especially in the buildings. We need the subsidies in order to put it. I mean, the savings are not generated. I mean, public, as I said, it's the beauty of the project. The savings are generated. You don't need any subsidies, and the investment could be implemented without any additional whatever. That's correct.
Yeah.
And Lada, what do you think are the most important activities that cities must do before the applications? Any advice for the most important first steps in thinking of applying for these technical assistance?
I think the first steps is definitely to say that unanimity between the municipalities so that they want to do this. So if it really starts and there are different forces in between the municipalities, some say they would want to do and the others not, then it's probably most likely the project is going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So with the technical assistance application, it remains the same. So if we say we do accept technical assistance application, that we want that the municipalities also behind this plan, and they really think, okay, we can do it, and then we see, okay, we need to do feasibility study, because quite often the feasibility especially comes out, oh, the savings actually are not enough. So what are the next steps? It's not like we are doing this technical assistance and we try to leave municipalities on their own. Then we need to see, okay, what are the other ways might be complementing this financing. That's why I was referring to the initiatives to access certain funds for renovation of the buildings, which are coming in form of the subsidies, because otherwise it will be in some cases quite difficult to generate the savings. Or you combine it street lighting savings with the renovation of the buildings, then it will not be like in case of CIMAC 74% of savings, but at least whatever 50 to 30% savings. But then you could do all the measures in the buildings. I mean, need to see all the ways how to do it. But I think this political will and political commonality between the parties within the communities is very important.
And you mentioned, the retrofitting of buildings perhaps has less return than something like the street lighting. Is there other promising technologies or interventions in the field in the next years that might?
I mean, Portugal is excellent example for the installation of the solar panels. I mean, Portugal is already generating, I think, 80% of electricity from solar energy. So, and I think this is the way that the municipalities should go and see how they could install the additional capacity where they produce electricity No, not that they are saving, but they are also producing electricity.
Yeah, if it's used for self-consumption, then they're saving.
It is, or they are selling this to EDP, no? I mean, I don't know whether EDP and meanwhile is allowing it or not, or it could be then feed in by that kind of development. I'm not quite sure what are the current status with EDP, whether it's only self-consumption or it could be feed into the grid.
Yeah, unfortunately, the feed-in tariffs are not so favorable now, but still for self-consumption, still if you optimize the energy produced for self-consumption, you make a lot of savings in the energy you have to buy. So usually the most profitable way is to optimize for self-consumption, the solar PV, which every municipality will be doing in the next couple of years with Positive project, and yeah, trying to store the energy for the most optimal use.
And I think then in energy storage, it's another topic to store, then also to find a way how to store the solar energy. I think.
Do you see some of these in applications for the energy efficiency fund?
No, I haven't seen it. No, I just only saw, I think there's only one project, I think that Acciona is implementing to Tudela, which is close to San Sebastian and the region in Spain. And there have been, Acciona, I think, has put on its first energy storage for the solar energy, but I don't know whether that's like pilot project or not, but we don't see it. But I think this is one of the ways to go. And then the other thing is, I mean, you could use electricity, for example, the electricity also to produce cool for the buildings. Now, so as you say, so how do we cool our buildings? They're probably cooled for the electricity. Okay, electricity now comes from renewable. Yeah, okay, more renewable energy. Then it's a way. Okay, if we are then 100% on electricity, renewable electricity in Portugal, so what happens then next?
Yeah, sure.
This is more questions for industrial players rather than for the communities. Communities could say still, okay, we will be trying to install and have our own solar to be independent from the grid, in that sense that we are then producing our own solar capacity, solar energy, solar electricity from solar energy. Yeah. Also using it for heating the water as well. I mean,
yeah, for sure, lots of technologies to watch.
There are a lot of, I mean, there are a lot
efficiency.
of, yes, there are a lot of projects that we could watch and should watch. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Lada. Maybe now we should move on to discussing what next in the working group we would like to discuss. I think this was really interesting. This funding aspect is complex, and it's good to see good examples of it working out, and I'm sure it will be useful for other cities. But maybe now we can discuss the next themes for the working group.
Yes, to help us with this, I'd like to invite Nuno to lead the discussion and help us define the next topic of our next working group meeting.
Well, in this working group, we would like to have a core group of cities and specialists to share our work and concerns and experiences regarding the energy sustainability, positive energy blocks and districts on heritage cities. And so what I would like to share with you, to begin this, is to have an example. Is that within the project of Positive project, we are aiming to demonstrate in these two lighthouse cities, in Évora and Alkmaar, Évora in Portugal and Alkmaar in Holland, And we are aiming to demonstrate the implementation of the innovative solutions at the level of the buildings and also in the urban areas and especially in historic areas. And these innovative solutions will allow us to increase the self-consumption of energy and sharing energy and raising the share also of renewable energy of locally produced energy. And in Evra, one of our biggest concerns is regarding and also similarly like other cities in Europe that have protected areas, historic areas, is that all the buildings on the protected areas are subject to very strict parameters, to very strict rules. And in Portugal, we have these rules from our cultural administration authority and also from the municipality. And the installation of innovative solutions must guarantee that we preserve the buildings, the heritage value of the buildings, and therefore the work and facades and roofs in principle must ensure that all the original materials and the value of the buildings is preserved. So this is to have one idea of the type of also the type of discussion that we want to bring to this working group. We in this project, a positive project, we are trying, we are developing solutions to historic cities, and as I mentioned, especially in Evora and in the Holland. So we would like to hear from the other participants what are your concerns and what are your experiences regarding the sustainability and positiveness of the cities, energy positiveness of the cities.
So maybe from the invite list or the participants now, we have some representatives from cities. We have 2 Portuguese cities. We have Odimeira and Uren, I believe. And there was a couple of cities from, one from Romania and one from Croatia. So perhaps they have different things they would like to discuss in the realm of smart heritage cities. It doesn't need to be exactly as Nuno described, but maybe from Odimeira, do you have an idea of what kind of subjects you would be interested in discussing in a working group about smart heritage cities? Mr. Santana, if you have some thoughts on what you would like to discuss in the working group.
I think it's from the participant is from Tavira.
Ah, Tavira. Okay,
I think so.
Okay, sorry for that. We also had another city included in the call as well, I think. It was Jose who didn't have access to a microphone, so unfortunately we can't hear from him yet. Well, from EDP's side in the working group, we're not representing the city, so what we have expertise in is the technologies, the energy technologies that can help heritage cities. So that's where we can really contribute in terms of heritage cities themselves. Yeah, we'd need to hear from other participants. Maybe from you, Rada, from the regional development agency side, you have some particular topics that are interesting for your parties.
Yeah, we are discussing now the Bauhaus. This is something that is new, and we like to understand what is the implication in the territories and how we could get the most of that. This is something that we would like to learn more. We have done a little bit on that, and as well as I said before in the presentation, I don't want to push that on finance again. So it's up to you, but still there are a lot of room to learn and to discuss. Because in particular, we are going to organize our general meeting in autumn in sustainable finance. So and the things of in general the urban renovation and how to better use the territory for us is quite relevant. And like always, we are working with SMEs in order to give you a third point as a possibility, how to support SMEs in general and in this type of activities, and in particular, the topics that we are discussing about renovation, renewable energy is positive. We have from one side very big players and corporations, but as well, anytime that we discuss about changes and reforms, we are talking about SMEs. So we like as well how to engage SMEs. So I don't know if I spoke a lot, but the three topics: Bauhaus, again finance, sorry for that, and SMEs involvement are for us the key elements where we would like to work. But we expect that this working group will last a lot of years, so we are not any urgency to push this topic for the next meeting at all. So whatever you decide will be welcome.
And I can add that from the municipality of Évora, besides the remarks from my colleague Nuno about the positive implementation solutions in the historic centers and the difficulties we have in integrating modern technologies in historical cities and buildings. We also, because of our candidacy to European Capital of Culture, all related to cultural heritage, sustainable cultural heritage, it's a good thing for us to discuss among our partners.
Yeah, you should use this platform as well to support your candidature as much as possible. We all support you, so you know Nuno and Paula. So use us.
I think for the next one, we unfortunately Alkmaar's representative had to leave a bit early, so we will also get an update from Alkmaar, the other lighthouse city in Positive, which is part of this working group. We can ask them their perspectives on what challenges or discussion points they would like to speak about. And then the other cities on the members list, we should hear from them as well. Unfortunately, I think a lot of them are not here today, so perhaps we can send out some form or survey to get some inputs for the next session. Ivana, if you agree.
Yes, so after this meeting, we will be sending an email to all the participants who registered and weren't able to join today, as well as those who are registered to receive the newsletter of the working group. We will be sending them Lada's PowerPoint, as well as a recording of this meeting, and then a questionnaire on asking them on what topics they would like to discuss in the next meeting. But just to remind everyone, the next meeting is scheduled for the 28th of October. As a side event of the event, which Esteban has mentioned earlier, Urada's Agorada Plus 2020, which will happen in Valencia. And so I believe it will be simultaneously like physical and as well as streamed online. Is that correct, Esteban? Perfect.
Yeah, nobody knows. So the people from Valencia would like to host us because they are isolated, and this is an event that we were planning these 2 years for the end of last year. So imagine, so it's very, very well planned and with a lot of illusion. So they feel that they will receive us and welcome us there. So thank you very much for your contribution, and we will share with you as well draft of the conference in order to help you to integrate in other aspects that you may like to as well. Valencia is as well World Human Heritage City, and I think it's something to see as well, how they manage and protect. And the event probably will take place in the historical city center. So it's something that will be interesting for you to see, close to the cathedral.
Yes. Then if there is nothing else, no other question or points of discussion, then I believe we can leave it here. And please let us know what topic you would like us to discuss in the next meeting. We will be sending you the email within the week as well. And I would like to thank, of course, Lada Strelnikova. Thank you very much for sharing with us today your knowledge and expertise. And to everybody who have participated and contributed.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ivana. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.